All right, with Gurjoeth Bassra's Secret Identity is the short film. It is 35 minutes long. It is about dual identities. It's a kind of an interesting kind of play on this person's character. Like he played a gay character and a superhero character in the 80s, or a superhero character in the 80s, and now he's trying to come out and basically he has a dual identity in real life. So you kind of like the child actor is recreating his life. It's kind of an interesting play on words. When did you come up with this idea for this short? I find it interesting.
Yeah, I came up with it. It was kind of just it kind of just happened whilst I was on this other project that I was doing at the time. And it was a project that personally my heart wasn't into it fully. It was sort of like, like a school project that I didn't
Yeah,
really want to be doing. And it's like, all right, I want to, make something I feel passionate about. And just kind of through the process of just kind of just like just being bored, just kind of like locked in my room. You get inspired by many things. I think I recently I'd seen like the latest Spider-Verse film around that time. And I thought it was interesting a lot of the sort of like some of the like subtle kind of themes that were in that movie, the messages. Obviously there's that scene where Gwen kind of reveals her like super identity, obviously to her father. And it's like you can obviously read a clear parallel in that allegory to like, what it's like for kids to come out to their parents.
yeah.
Um, and then
But the
it's
allegory is that when you're gay, you're a superhero.
indeed. So then I
Yeah,
thought, wouldn't it be good to kind of explore that in a story where that was more like direct, right? That was more like that's what the film is evidently about. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of explore that with an actor who obviously an actor plays characters, like a superhero kind of plays roles that are like public and private persona. And how
yeah.
it'd be interesting for to explore that parallel through an actor character.
And then you came up with the idea. So did like this, but you're young. Are you still in school?
Right now I'm 21 now.
Yeah.
I'm doing a master's at London Film Academy, so it's
Okay.
like a practical course. I graduated earlier this year from King's College London when I did my BA.
Gotcha. And but you did this on your own. You did this film on your
Yeah,
own?
yeah. So I did this. This was just like an independent thing that I did like in my free time whilst I was doing my studies.
Okay.
Because I was at King's College London, and a lot of the filmmaking equipment we used was from the Film Society at King's because they had
Yeah.
like a Canon C200 that we could borrow. And the other crew members, a lot of them tend to be also students from King's. So it was kind of just easy just to like find like a group of people that, want to just like make something together. And it was very sort of, parts of it are a little like rough around the edges because there's like, a lot of us kind of like first timers sort of doing this. But I think it's cool that we even like end up making something even quite like this ambitious and like big and long.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, it is ambitious. So you're saying that like your crew, you guys were all kind of like learning as you're going in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
sense?
So a lot of them were people from just like my uni. So for example, our composer Cameron was just like someone I just knew from King's. Um, and he's excellent. His work is great. Yeah, obviously the actors are the only ones that was sort of like external because I definitely didn't want to bring like students
Yeah,
to act in the film because I feel like immediately, like already it's sort of, we've basically got no money in this production. And I thought like if you bring in like students to act in the film, then that's the number one thing people are gonna flag is like, wow, this is a student production, this is just
yeah,
crap. No one's gonna want to watch it. So I figured I want to at least kind of try, with the actors to make it seem
sure.
like, look, we got like actual like professional actors involved.
Well,
And it was
the
great.
film's got to be
Yeah,
convincing, right? So got to
exactly.
hit your story beats and your emotional beats, or else the film doesn't work, right? So
Definitely.
yeah, no, I thought they all did a great job. So you kind of just did a casting call, and they found you
Yeah,
actors.
so we did a post on Mandy to kind of get most of our actors on board. That's how we got Laura involved. That's how we also got a Bhaskar Patel involved as well, who was on Emmerdale. So it was cool like getting those kind of actors of that caliber involved because instantly kind of, you know, I know it's almost like when you're on set too, you can
Yeah,
feel it. Where like you have an actor who's had that experience come onto set and everyone else like around you just like, all right, we gotta actually like come on, we gotta be focused and working. It's almost like that sort of like I don't know, like imposter syndrome in a way, I guess.
yeah.
Because everyone kind of wants to like, I guess, work harder when you've got people of that level on set.
So right away you kind of like tip your hat and you basically it's like this very attractive girl wants to sleep with this guy, right? And she's very seductive and he turns her down and you're like, "What?" It's like say you have no context to what the film
Yeah.
is. And so basically you're like, "Okay, this is I guess what then you kind of like you kind of set it up right away, right? Like do you like about what who this guy is and what the film is about. I found it a great scene. Even a lot of long shots, the way they're talking on the bed, and she's kind of figuring it out as the audience is as well, I guess too, right?
Yeah, no, it was definitely there's like a gradual reveal of information throughout. Like you don't, because I feel like if you just start the movie and you immediately tell the audience, oh yeah, Benjamin Wake, he's gay, he's a closeted gay, then
Yeah,
immediately it's like, okay, that's not the best way to kind of like tell a story. You need to kind of reel people in. So yeah, that first scene, he's on the phone with his like agent saying, look, there are rumors about your private lives, you want to keep that down. So immediately establish that first scene, okay, there's something going on in his private life that he doesn't want to be out there in the media. And then the second scene, you can see, look, he had a wife, but then you see he's not being intimate with his wife. Then suddenly we get the kind of like flashback to him on the TV show. And then you say, okay, there's a scene with him and his dad finds out he's a superhero. And then it's not until after that scene where you see him with his secret lover, Joel, that you then kind of clicks, oh, he's gay. And it kind of, you gradually like reveal that information and kind of keep the audience intrigued to kind
yeah.
of find out the full story of Benjamin.
So we're like it's interesting because we're in this time where it's like
Mm.
people come out and it's like not nearly as a big a deal, say 20 years ago. But the
Mhm.
context is that this guy's already had this, you know, world, his life, like in the media, on pulp in pulp culture, like within the masses. So it's like it's hard to come out when you've already had this, when people already preconceived, already have an opinion of you, I guess, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I find it,
So,
yeah, it's interesting. And then like, so that's sort of what the film is. It's like he's trying to figure it out as we go along, right?
definitely. It's a very interesting character journey because in a way, like his choice to come out is not really like in a way, it's not even like truly like his own choice in a way. And I know like some people might, because I've had other friends like read like early drafts of the script and feel like, okay, Benjamin like's whole like decision to come out should be like, something that is entirely his own. Where in the film, it's very much kind of like forced on him when that scene towards the end with the producer character kind of, or the director, I should say, where he kind of like, makes it known to the public that he's homosexual and it's not until after that point that he decides to kind of embrace his identity because it's kind of like forced on him. But the thing is, I think like realistically, that kind of does happen a lot, especially back then, where people who might wanted to stay in the closet didn't really have a choice, and it's kind of like forced out one
Yeah.
way to another, and like family find out and friends find out, especially in that time period. But I think even when something like that happens, you can still choose whether or not to embrace your identity or not. And that's kind of the
Well,
message of the film.
I think you're honest. I think that generally speaking, if you talk to people when they come out, it's not they're it's like because something happened, like someone saw them kissing somebody,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? All these
And they
situations.
kind of like have to then like kind of explain
Yeah.
it. And
And I think
yeah.
that those are the more honest, those are the more ways people come out, right? Because their secret identity, quote unquote, is is discovered, right? So they have to come out and say
hmm
that they're Batman, right? So
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously there could be like another version of this movie where, I guess it was very sort of, I don't know, like Hollywood-esque or whatever. You could have a version where like Ben was like, no, I'm gonna quit the movie industry and tell everybody I'm gay. And then it's just like, but then in that doesn't feel real, it's just like
yeah.
you need something kind of, I don't know, push that character to then do that. Because at the start of the film, he very much kind of wants to stay in his bubble. He wants to stay in his like comfort zone. You got to push him out of that comfort zone in order to kind of progress his character.
Yeah. You just got me thinking the worst reveal of all time was Kevin Spacey, where
Mm,
like all the allegations came out. It's like, hey, guess what? I'm gay, everybody. It's like, sorry. I hope we can laugh about it now, but
yeah,
it was like, yeah, no kidding, right? Like, and maybe the wrong time, but it's like, but basically that this happens all the time. It's interesting. So I love the guy's performance because it's almost like he's acting in a shell, like the way his body
yeah.
posture is. Did you guys talk about that?
We did, and in fact, I sent him some notes about my inspiration for the character too. So I told him, so like one of the probably the biggest inspiration of the story was this actor portrayed Batman or did the voice of Batman on this show called Batman the Animated Series in the 90s called Kevin Conroy,
Yeah,
who
sure.
actually was in the closet for most of his life, and he didn't reveal he was gay until like a few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, and it was interesting kind of like hearing him talk about what it was like in that time period, like being gay. So I kind of
Playing the
sent,
most macho kind of like superhero character, I
of
guess, too.
course, yeah. So then I sent Akash like some of those like interviews that were like inspirations in the script and whatnot, and that was kind of his foundation. Then he went off and did all that sort of research, and I think it definitely informed his performance and how he kind of portrayed that character. I don't like he hasn't given me like his like whole notes or anything. So I'm sure there's more
Sure.
research that he's done, but yeah, it was great to see like how passionate he was about the role and making sure to portray it like with the most kind of accuracy as possible.
Yeah, he's like a turtle trying to get back in his shell. That's how I would describe his
Mm.
performance. And then finally, he's like, you know what? I'm not going to my shell anymore. That's sort of the arc, how I got it. Because he's like in every scene, like he's your film,
He
right?
is, yeah. And in fact, if there's one sort of thing that because obviously this is like even though it's quite a lengthy kind of short film, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
If I was to like do it again, maybe for like a bigger budget, like a feature, I would definitely love to have more scenes that just aren't solely focused on Benjamin. I think it'd be nice to see sort of like other characters, like his wife Jessica, kind of get a
Yeah.
scene or two with her that doesn't involve Benjamin, because I definitely think right now, and obviously as a short film, you kind of have to be kind of centrally focused on like, I guess, one kind of topic, and that topic being, Benjamin himself, kind of focused on him because there's not really time to delve into like other characters as you would like a maybe a longer like a TV show or a feature film. But yeah, I would definitely love to explore some of the other minor characters if I had a longer runtime.
Well, people and also people know, right? Like maybe his wife is in denial, which is an interesting story in itself. But
Definitely.
people know, right? They're not going to say anything, right? So
Yeah, and I think that would be very interesting to explore. This is honestly, I feel like there's a lot that you could explore with all those characters and about like Benjamin's sort of life before he kind of like gets outed and his relationships with other people too.
so I found it interesting that the fast like you mentioned it before, but you talked about like in your blog interview, you were like I wrote it in August. I basically started pre-production in October, started shooting in February, and now we got it's sort of like it was such a fast process.
Yeah, I guess so. And yeah, I mean, it didn't feel like fast in the moment. It definitely felt like, damn, this is taking a while. Because how it step happened is, I mean, guess what? I wrote like the first like early few drafts pretty early on, and I sent that to Gabby, who then became the producer on this project. And I sent to one of the actors already had in mind for the role of Kevin Murray. That's Tal Profs there.
Yeah.
Um, Thing is, though, is that I don't know, I had a weird kind of process where I kind of kept updating the script as we were kind of moving ahead with production. So, like, when we brought our actors in for the first table read, I like rewrote the script again, like the night before, because, like, no, something that could be kind of added here. I think it worked out in the end, kind of that process. And then when we got to set, it's like, all right, now for all like the talking and meetings with the actors, kind of adding in new stuff, maybe getting rid of some other stuff, rearranging some elements.
Yeah.
And with the shoot as well, um, technically the production and kind of post-production were kind of happening simultaneously. Because what happened is we had one shoot day in late February, then we shot like on like the first week or like the first 2 weeks of like early March. And then
Yeah.
we had a long break because two of the actors couldn't come back because they had like other projects and their availability was changing. So like one of our actors like flew out to the States and another had like another thing going on. So during that break, I started like editing the footage that we had shot so far.
Okay.
Um, and that was happening. And then we think we came back. I think it was like, was it August that we like came back to do a few more scenes when one of our actors, Basker, could come back. Um, and then we shot the last scene, I believe, like near like June or July. That was scene 9, the confrontation scene with Benjamin and Jessica. And yeah, so it was kind of interesting having that like big sort of break in between shoot dates. And during that time was when I would just like start editing the footage. So that like by the time that we do like finish shooting the last scene, already a lot of work in post-production has been done. So it kind of makes the post-production process faster. It was being done during those filming breaks. So I think that's part of the reason why we were able to kind of like get this like kind of screened right now and like showing in places.
Gotcha. And so, but so you edited the film yourself?
I
Yours?
did. So this is the second time I've edited a short that I've wrote and directed. And to be honest, I think I don't know if I'm gonna like edit every film I've written and directed, but I feel like for like my like early project, considering this is only like the second thing I've directed, I
Yeah,
definitely wanted to edit it to kind of like get that experience. Because I feel like you learn so much about filmmaking through the editing as well and how to kind of like pace scenes and when to cut at the right time. So yeah.
were you worried that the film was like too long, like for 35 minutes?
I think sure there was a part of me that definitely thought that, but also I don't know, I was kind of I don't know, it's always a hard balance. It was even actually longer than this originally, because there was one scene that we did cut out, just because I thought it was just kind of unnecessary in the whole kind of grand scheme of things, and also just wasn't a great scene. It was a scene in like in a toy store
Yeah,
where Benjamin goes to sell his costume. This happens after the bar scene, after he's had his dance with Joel. That's where this scene would come in, and then he'd sell his costume to this toy store owner, Ted, saying, "Look, I'll take whatever you can give me." And then that would then segue into the last scene where he's looking at the wall with no costume. But then when I was editing it, I was like, you don't really need that. Like, you don't. I feel like once you see just the shot of him looking at the wall and there's nothing there, you
yeah,
already get it that he's gotten rid of the costume. Like, you get the meaning behind that, especially because it parallels a shot from the first scene. And I feel like just having a scene where he goes to the store, he sells the costume. It's like it's too much explaining. Whereas just seeing the wall, that's more powerful kind of storytelling.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, so it was definitely like changes like that had to be made. For just like it was better for the pacing too. But yeah, I mean, with it being 45 minutes, there was a concern, with like some sort of like crew members thinking it should be shorter to kind of like reach more festivals.
Yeah,
But then like in the end, I don't know, I was just kind of like I was satisfied with like the project and how it turned out. And I felt like ultimately was this the film that I kind of wanted to tell? Yeah, so I kind of just did what kind of felt right in my heart at that moment was just kind of go with that cut.
yeah,
But I think in the future though, like with my next projects, I might see what it's like to kind of be more hands off on the edit, let someone else edit it, let it, because I think that could be an interesting experiment too.
yeah. And so you're going to what school are you going to now?
London Film Academy, so
So you're
I've got
obviously going to
a
make some films there, right?
yeah. So I'm producing one next year called Talkies, which is like this period piece set in 1929, about like old Hollywood and stuff.
Yeah,
And then I have another thing that I'm independently doing. So that's the one that I'm producing is a school project. And then another one is something that I'm independently directing and have written, which will be shooting in April. And it stars one of the actors that were also in Secret Identity, Bhaskar Patel, who played the dad
yeah,
on Secret Identity. So I'm working with him again on Perfect Girl. So I've got, yeah, those two projects are the two immediate ones that I'm doing. And I'm using equipment from the film school to shoot those.
yeah. That's good. So the equipment's good there.
Yeah, no, it's very high-end kit, like the Ari and Mira. It's all very good. I think that's probably like one of the biggest like selling factors of film schools, the fact that you get to be able to use their equipment.
Yeah,
Uh, so like even if you don't like the student projects that you're working on the course, you can always like book it out for your own independent shoots,
yeah.
um, which is what I like to do. So
We'll take advantage of that, right? Because you only have so much
absolutely.
time.
hmm And yeah, like this as well. Because yeah, people were surprised that like Secret Identity wasn't like I just kind of like made it because people were like, "Oh, did you do this as part of your course?" It's like, no, I just kind of I just made it when I had
Yeah,
free time, um, and I felt like I can't imagine what Secret Identity would be like if it was like a proper like student production as part of like a film course, because I feel like there'd be so many limitations within that, in terms of just like who you're able to work with
Yeah,
and like having to reach deadlines. Because like if Secret Identity was a project where we had to like reach deadlines, I think we would have like just fucking failed because there was like such a big filming break in the middle of it, and then
yeah,
we were like behind on schedule so many times. There were even like reshoots that we had to do. Um, but like the fact that we kind of like were determined and wanted to keep like moving forward. Eventually, that perseverance led to the film eventually getting finished.
yeah. No, listen, and you're on your way. Like you said, you seem like you're good. You're a really good producer, but you also are a filmmaker as well. So being a good producer and a filmmaker is solid
Definitely,
because you don't have to
yeah,
worry about anybody else. You can just do it yourself, right? So
definitely. I think with filmmaking, it helps to be a jack of all trades in a sense of I mean you don't necessarily have to kind of like master every element of the filmmaking process, but
yeah,
having at least like a base knowledge of, like producing and then obviously directing. And even recently when I was like working on like sound rolls or like in the camera department, it helps as well, kind of getting a base knowledge of that. Because I
yeah,
feel like when you're directing, if you kind of have a base understanding of what everyone's doing on set, it just means things can run more efficiently
yeah,
and it can like, be like a proper machine in a way.
exactly. Well, congratulations on this film, and let's like I want to see what you do at the film school. Make try and make as many films as you possibly can. And it seems like you're not down on ideas. It seems like you got a lot of ideas in your head, and I wish you the best. I hopefully we can talk again when you make your next film.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.